Originally, when I recorded this, it was right after the Royal Rumble of this year, so take that with a grain of salt, but otherwise, this is from earlier, and I know I should have uploaded it sooner, especially since now Little Karibo actually made this fantastic video on the Roman Reigns problem, which really does encompass the Inhumans problem. Is it still as bad as it is? Well, be the judge for yourself. Either way, let's actually get on to the actual video. The Royal Rumble just came and went, so it got me thinking about Roman Reigns. He trotted out as entrant number 30 to a giant boo of the crowd, and then basically trolled to become the last man out of the ring. And honestly, his career is shockingly a great comparison with the Inhumans. And no, I'm not the first person to make this comparison. Actually, I'll give credit to Tom Zilla for being the guy who asked if they were an apt comparison. So I'm not saying that he started it, but he's the one I heard it from. So that begs the question, why did Roman Reigns' push fail? Because he was being too pushed. When someone like Zack Ryder or Daniel Bryan were huge fan favorites, they barely got the push and had to push a giant boulder uphill just to get taken seriously within their company, even if they were what fans wanted. It's why the best for business angle with D-Bry happened. To get back to actually making this about the Inhumans, they've had some great storylines involving them. The Marvel Knights Inhumans by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee was beautiful in its execution to really give them the Quesada era run that made them must-reads around the turn of the century. And even as recently as Realm of Kings in 2010, made by the Kings of the Cosmic Marvel books, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, it was probably the most definitive read for the Inhumans, with everyone having basically claimed it to be Marvel's version of Game of Thrones, with less boobs and butts of course. So why isn't this latest push working if they are pretty well received by comic fans since their debut? Honestly, the biggest reason is something that Doug Walker pointed out during his Jurassic Park 3 review when the movie tried pushing the Spinosaurus as being so much better than the T-Rex.
Hey there, kiddo. You like your Dora the Explorer doll?
Sure do!
Well, what would you think if I got you a brand new Barbie doll?
Oh, that's okay. I love Dora.
No, you love Barbie.
I'm pretty sure I love Dora.
Oh, look at that. Barbie killed Dora. Now you have to love Barbie.
Poor Dora!
You will care nothing for her. You instead love your Barbie doll.
I don't want to!
You will love her!
No, Daddy, no!
Wow. I was in a dark place when I wrote that.
The Inhumans weren't pushed as their own book, and keeping in tune with what people really did come to grow to like about them. Most everyone I've talked to about this has roughly the same response. They need to do a Game of Thrones style thing with it. While on a content level, the Inhumans weren't being given Inhuman books, but attempting to be the X-Men. I mean, books like Miss Marvel or Karnak were generally trying to be their own thing, though Miss Marvel is a special case I'll talk about in a minute. The books themselves are not terrible. They're honestly not. They are passable. It's within the context of their rise that really hurts readership. Perlmutter hates the Marvel licenses not owned by Marvel Studios. It's kind of a fact now. Fantastic Four isn't a comic series just to spite Fox. The X-Men were pushed back and attemptedly replaced due to Fox owning their rights. It's also why Marvel is refusing to make any merchandise for Fox-owned properties. But let's be honest, no one would really care about any of that pettiness if the Inhumans had a book worth reading. And yes, I do think better heads are prevailing since the Inhuman failed push, due to the fact that they're going to be doing that stupidly named Resurrection storyline soon that'll relaunch a lot of X-Men properties, though only like 7 new mutants are being added from the before time. So we can agree that the Inhumans were trying to be promoted to being the alternative team to the Avengers. What's funny about this is that again, there have been some good books that have come out, like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, as well as the super praised Miss Marvel book. And why did they work? Because they're only Inhuman books in the same style as All New Wolverine is an X book. While the characters are linked with a specific faction, they are solo series outside of those factions' politics. It's actually why creative tried banking on the popularity of Miss Marvel to get the Inhumans into the spotlight. So, to keep the topic going, the Inhumans failed with long-term and even a chunk of new readers because they were forced into a spotlight rather than growing into that role. I mean, Roman Reigns has found a solid spot where he is in the spotlight, but not being pushed as the next face of the company. So where should the Inhumans be? Well, that's sort of the thing. We have a roadmap of what makes the Inhumans work in their tales before the Mouse regime came in. We know their politics and how well that plays to make them something regal, yet nearly gothic on a cosmic level. Not necessarily just another par team book. I know this video is relatively short, but let's be fair, most everyone knows why the Inhuman push failed. at least on the level that Perlmutter or whoever was in charge really wanted the Inhumans to be. It failed because it was writing checks its mouth couldn't cash. When you get pushed to be a top comic, you should have the meat in your writing to not just be average at best. Of course, there are those that enjoy these comics, and they aren't terrible like I said. Of course, I'm interested in hearing what you, the listeners, think. If you agree that they really screwed the pooch on trying to make the Inhumans the next X-Men, and all that entailed, or if you think that I'm just a scorned mutie lover who can't see the greatness that is the Inhuman books, let me know in the comments below. Like the Archivist Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and pledge to us on Patreon, where we have exclusive content like unedited episodes, Q&As, and even the ability to select my next reviews. Check out my other channels, ComicSins, which is on hiatus until the numbers or demand goes up, and A Comic a Day, where it's Dark Tower month as me and Criff from Bard and Criff Vlog palaver on the Gunslinger prequel comics. And as always, stay golden, Inklings.